Hello traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. Memorial Day, May the 31st, 2021. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the improvement in the markets. Also with the tech stocks that we follow, most of our indicators are bullish at 12, with 6 neutral and 2 bearish going into this week. Markets are improving. We're looking for follow-through. We have a smaller list of stocks that look good set up for the week. However, we do see some trends changing, for example, in cannabis stocks, so keep an eye on those this week. The S&P 500 has support at 4150. Its flip point, where it moves from bullish to bearish, is at 4160, and resistance is at 4250. Bottom line, we're neutral to bullish going into this week, short term. For the week ahead, we can see that the spiders have broken a trend line that we drew in last week. RSI remains above 50, and a drawdown of about 3% would bring us back to the 50-day at this point. While we don't expect that, we did see volume pick up last week on Thursday and Friday. MACD has crossed, moving higher, and stochastics continues to point in a bullish direction. The NASDAQ 100 and the growth stocks therein outperformed last week. We see green elder sticks. The number of stocks trading above their 50-period moving average is only at 66% compared to the S&P 500, which is at 76.95. The number of stocks advancing versus declining is also making higher highs and higher lows. We're looking for a trend break going into this week. And despite the outperformance of the growth stocks versus value, we did see the ratio dip a bit last week. Price action has moved sideways above the 21-day moving average, with price action in the growth stocks moving sideways above the 21-day and the value stocks last week, with both seemingly consolidating recent gains. We also saw small caps move back above their 50-day moving average, still in a sideways range since about February. So the idea here is that if we come up and test the highs, we'll look for resistance. If we break out, we could start trending again. That would be a good sign going forward, as small cap stocks are viewed as a more risky asset, thus one of our indicators for short and intermediate term performance. In addition, a broad measure of market participation like the New York Stock Exchange 2,700 stocks, pretty much in a sideways range. However, it is above the zero line, indicating there's more new highs than new lows, even if a smaller number. That is telling us that consolidation is probably the case in the markets as well. New York Stock Exchange advanced decline is making a new high, while price action remains in a bullish trend. That said, our bullish indicator in VIX is starting to wane a bit. We did make new lows last week. So long as this stays green, we're bullish. When it dips into the red, we're bearish only on a 60-minute time frame. Just keep in mind, this is the S&P 500 in the upper panel. When this indicator is green, we're looking for higher highs and higher lows. You can see how we're starting to move sideways. Even if we're making higher lows, we need to make a higher high this week, which should be the case as we saw the S&P large caps, mid caps, small caps, and NASDAQ 100 in the lower panel continue higher. All these are making higher highs and higher lows. We can see small caps did back off a little bit, but overall breadth is bullish. McClellan oscillators for the NASDAQ and the NYSE both tell us the same story. We see the black line is starting to make a higher low. Valleys are higher in each case. We're looking for a higher high or a higher peak in the black line as NYMO remains above zero. also seen in the NYSE for the 2,700 stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. Zooming out to an even larger group of stocks, the Wilshire 5000, currently about 3,750 stocks. Don't be misled by the name. That said, the cycles are starting to become more bullish. As you can see, Copoc curve is turning up and bullish, and we got KST, the rate of change, trying to turn up as well. Finally, we have the S&P 500 seasonality improving into the months of June and July. All inclusive, most of our indicators are telling us to be more bullish to slightly neutral going into this week. The bond stock ratio in the lower panel between the S&P 500 and the 10-year bond is bullish as it continues lower in the short term, while the S&P 500 to 30-year long bond, or the intermediate to longer term trend, remains in a bullish signal as well. Additional indicators have us bullish as most of these lines are rising. We did see the blue line USO dip a little bit on Friday. IWM in red and biotechs did improve last week. They're both turning higher. In the background, you can see Hank and Ashy. That is junk bonds. Those remain bullish as well. These are four bullish indicators that tell us to be bullish and slightly neutral in the short term. The US dollar did fade last week. We ended on a gravestone doji, still making lower highs, potentially a lower low this week. However, the oscillators have turned more bullish, so watch for any kind of move higher that would put pressure on commodities. While gold does push higher, any move in the US dollar to the upside might show some pressure here. Looking for overhead resistance just above 1960, while the trend remains persistent. That said, industrial and construction related metals like copper starting to show signs of a breakout of this little descending channel that we've put in over the last 3 weeks. That would be bullish for construction and builders, while Brent crude oil remains in a bullish trend. That's also a positive correlation to the equity markets. Higher is bullish, lower is bearish, while one of our longer term indicators, the CRB index, shows improvement, looking bullish as it follows through for a second month, suggesting the current trend in the market will continue, unless some unforeseen catalyst comes into play that we haven't considered to this point. The sector heat map updated every Friday across the top, with the previous week improving. Looking for this to turn more lime green and green over the next several weeks. We can see strength in semiconductors and travel and leisure, which makes sense. If cannabis was on here as a sector, we'd see that improving as well. While international markets also improve. Brazil, South Korea, Russia leading, while most of the international markets improved. The IBD 50 last week performed quite well. Many of these stocks look good, while only about 10 are set up to my liking. Avery Dennison, Cleveland Cliffs. As we can see, consolidating above the 21-day, looking for a follow-through. Volume picked up last week on Thursday and Friday. Oscillators are turning. RSI remains above 50. Mr. Cooper Group, an odd name. However, COOP does look somewhat more bullish. Volume is starting to come in. MACD is above its signal line. Stochastic rising, RSI above 50. Looking for price action to continue building the right side of this pattern. While Expeditors International of Washington, EXPD, remains in a bullish trend. Volume did pick up markedly on Thursday. Looking for the follow-through. MACD is trending. Banks are also trending, looking for the breakout this week. Goldman Sachs trading in an area of no overhead supply, 52-week highs. Remember, copper is about to break out of a descending channel, as previously discussed. We have the builders looking very strong. This is Green Brick Partners. They have properties in Dallas and in Atlanta. Population growth improving in those areas. Looking for this trend back above the 21-day to test the 50-day and then move back up to 52-week highs. Look at some of the other home builders in the same respect. Smith & Wesson Brands continues higher, headed for 52-week highs. Price action bullish last week, maybe a little flag for a setup. Stochastics MACD above a signal line, volume increasing. Stocks showing relative strength at 52-week highs. A scan from Investors Business Daily shows AIG at new highs, looking for a follow-through. ASO also looks strong. IVZ, MGA, Morgan Stanley, and Tenet Healthcare also showing signs of a breakout this week. Additional scans from IBD. This is from stocks that funds are buying, with FRHC, FRP, RIO, SBSW, TMST, Temkin Steel showing strength. Looking for a follow-through this week, all of which are listed on the opening monologue in green, while stocks like Java Holding Company are starting to see a follow-through. These are from the Blue Dot scan. In addition, the cannabis stocks got a nice lift last week. Technically, the stocks look very bullish, breaking trend. There was also a bill that would eliminate or decriminalize marijuana as being reintroduced in Congress. There is a very good chance this bill will pass. That would open up the way for financial institutions and banks with dispensaries to allow the VA to prescribe medical marijuana for their patients and take cannabis off the Schedule I controlled substances list. That's very important, and we could be seeing a nice change of trend perpetuate in the cannabis stocks. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com with your weekend videos newsletter. A little bit shorter this week. Want to get outside and enjoy Memorial Day with the family. I hope you understand I'm a veteran as well. We'll send out the watch list later tonight around 12 midnight, so be sure to look for that in your inbox on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. Take care, have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.